Imagine stepping onto a gleaming, state-of-the-art Dreamliner, ready for what should be a typical journey from the bustling city of Ahmedabad to the historic heart of London. The whir of engines, the confident announcements from the cockpit, the anticipation of traversing continents, all of it shattered in mere seconds. On one fateful June night in the year 2025, the unimaginable became reality. Catastrophe struck, claiming the lives of 260 people, and leaving both the aviation world and the broader public reeling with questions. How could such a disaster happen in an era when air travel is supposedly safer than ever? Could it occur again? And what does this mean for the future of aviation and global technology? Air travel is often touted as the safest mode of transportation. Every day, millions trust their lives to the intricate ballet of engineering, technology, human skill, and international regulation that keeps hundreds of thousands of aircraft in the sky. The statistics are reassuring. In the past 20 years, the global accident rate has plummeted, with fewer than one crash per 1 million departures. Modern jets, like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, represent the pinnacle of aviation technology, built to withstand multiple failures and equipped with redundant systems designed to prevent disaster. Yet history has a way of humbling us, occasionally delivering chilling reminders that even the most advanced machines are not immune to failure. On June 12, in the year 2025, Air India flight AI171, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, lined up on the runway at Ahmedabad Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. The weather was clear, visibility was high, and the crew, both experienced and highly trained, prepared for another routine flight to London Gatwick. Families and business travelers settled into their seats, expecting a journey of less than 10 hours across continents. But in the span of just a few heartbeats after takeoff, everything changed. The aircraft, barely airborne, lost both engines almost instantaneously, plunging into the grounds of the BJ Medical College hostel. All 260 souls on board perished, along with 19 people on the ground. The images of twisted metal, charred wreckage, and the raw anguish of families soon dominated global headlines. This tragedy stands apart in modern aviation history, not simply for its scale, but for its cause. Dual-engine failure, occurring seconds after takeoff, is a scenario so rare that most pilots, even those who have flown for decades, will never experience it outside of flight simulators. As John Cox, a respected aviation safety consultant, put it, "A simultaneous dual-engine failure is an extremely rare event, suggesting a catastrophic system malfunction or a combination of human and technical factors." The shock echoed through the corridors of power, from airline boardrooms to government ministries, and triggered an investigation of exceptional scale and urgency. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau of India, commonly known as the AAIB, immediately launched a comprehensive probe. The preliminary 15-page report they released mere weeks after the accident painted a disturbing picture. Investigators pored over every available data source: flight recorders, maintenance logs, air traffic control transcripts, and even closed-circuit television footage from the airport perimeter. What they found was as perplexing as it was troubling. The cockpit voice recorder, often referred to as the black box, captured the final moments inside the Dreamliners. Seconds after takeoff, both engine fuel cutoff switches, critical controls that regulate the flow of fuel to the engines, were flipped from the run position to queued off. This action abruptly halted fuel supply to both engines, causing an immediate and total loss of thrust. Amid the chaos, a brief but chilling exchange was recorded between the pilots. One asked, "Why did you cut off?" To which the other replied, "I did not." This split-second conversation has become the centerpiece of the investigation, opening a Pandora's box of questions about cockpit coordination, technical reliability, and human factors under stress. To appreciate the gravity of this moment, it is important to understand the role of the fuel cutoff switches. These switches are not meant to be manipulated during critical phases of flight such as takeoff. In fact, standard operating procedures dictate that they are only used during engine shutdowns on the ground, or in rare instances of in-flight fire. For both to be moved to queued off within a second of one another, just as the aircraft was climbing away from the runway, suggests either a catastrophic technical malfunction, a misunderstood or erroneous cockpit command, or possibly a hidden software issue that triggered an automatic shutdown. As the engines died, the Dreamliner's sophisticated safety systems responded exactly as their designers intended. The Ram Air Turbine, or RAT, an emergency device that deploys to provide essential electrical and hydraulic power in the event of total engine failure, extended instantly. This confirmed that both engines had indeed lost power. The pilots, racing against time and altitude, attempted to restart the engines. Maintenance logs would later reveal that the engine 2 fuel cutoff switch had a history of recurring problems. Yali an issue reported during previous routine checks, but apparently unresolved at the time of the accident. This detail has fueled speculation about whether a latent defect in the switch or its underlying software played a decisive role. The sequence of events unfolded with devastating speed. The aircraft's forward momentum, initially over 180 knots, bled away as both engines spooled down. The pilots moved the fuel cutoff switches back to RUN, and for a brief moment, Engine 2 showed signs of stabilization. Engine 1, however, never recovered. With altitude and speed vanishing rapidly, the Dreamliner became uncontrollable, descending into the hostel and sealing the fate of all on board and those on the ground. Investigators quickly ruled out external factors such as bird strikes or sabotage. No evidence of bird activity was found on the flight path, and security footage showed nothing unusual. The aircraft's maintenance history, however, painted a more complex picture. The recurring issue with the Engine 2 fuel cutoff switch had been logged in previous weeks. Yet the aircraft remained in service. Was this an isolated defect, or did it point to a broader design flaw within the Boeing 787's fuel system? The AAIB's preliminary report stopped short of assigning blame, but it did recommend enhanced inspections of fuel cutoff switches and associated wiring on all Dreamliners operating in the region. The human element, as always in aviation accidents, is under intense scrutiny. Dr. Sally Evans, a globally recognized human factors specialist, notes, pilot fatigue and stress can significantly impair decision-making abilities, especially in high-pressure situations. The AAIB is investigating whether the crew's actions during those critical seconds aligned with standard operating procedures for dual-engine failure. Did fatigue or cognitive overload lead to a momentary lapse? Or was there a deeper flaw in cockpit resource management training? In India, the government has already convened a task force to overhaul pilot training, focusing on clear communication, stress management, and emergency response protocols. The legal and financial implications of the crash are staggering. Insurance experts estimate that total claims could exceed $750 million, making this one of the costliest aviation disasters in Indian history. The ripple effects are being felt across the industry. Regulators in Europe, led by the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA, have issued directives mandating enhanced inspections for all Boeing 787 aircraft. Airlines are facing potential delays, grounded fleets, and mounting costs as engineers comb through fuel systems and software code for vulnerabilities. But this tragedy is not an isolated event. Aviation history is dotted with catastrophes that forced the industry to evolve. In 1985, Japan Airlines Flight 123 crashed due to a faulty rear pressure bulkhead, resulting in the loss of over 500 lives and leading to sweeping changes in aircraft maintenance and inspection procedures. In 2009, Air France Flight 447 vanished over the Atlantic, its cause ultimately traced to a combination of pitot tube icing and pilot confusion, prompting the redesign of cockpit instrumentation and enhanced training for high-altitude stalls. Each disaster, while unique in its technical details, shares a common theme: a chain of seemingly minor failures or overlooked warnings, culminating in tragedy. The Dreamliner's dual-engine shutdown, triggered by the simultaneous movement of both fuel cutoff switches, now joins this list of watershed events. Air safety consultant John Cox emphasizes, a simultaneous dual-engine failure is almost unheard of. This suggests a perfect storm of technical and human factors. Captain William McGee of the Airline Pilots Association adds, the cockpit voice recording raises serious questions about crew coordination and communication during a critical phase of flight. The implications extend far beyond Air India or even Boeing. Airlines worldwide have been forced to re-examine their own maintenance records, training protocols, and system redundancies. Behind the scenes, teams of engineers at Boeing, General Electric, the engine manufacturer, and regulatory agencies are racing to uncover answers. They are meticulously reviewing every aspect of the 787's design, from the placement and wiring of the fuel cutoff switches, to the logic embedded in the electronic control units, to the algorithms that govern emergency responses. In a world where fly-by-wire technology and software-driven systems have become the norm, the possibility of a hidden code anomaly cannot be dismissed. The consequences for Boeing could be profound. The company, already under scrutiny from previous incidents involving other aircraft types, faces the prospect of costly design modifications, recalls, and intensified regulatory oversight. For airlines, particularly those operating large fleets of Dreamliners, the risk of mass groundings threatens to disrupt schedules, strain finances, and erode public confidence. For passengers, the incident is an unsettling reminder of how much trust is placed in invisible layers of technology, maintenance, and human skill each time a ticket is purchased. Legal experts like Robert Clifford warn, if negligence is proven on the part of the airline or manufacturer, the legal liabilities could be substantial. Lawsuits from families of victims are likely to stretch on for years, potentially reshaping the way airlines, manufacturers, and insurers allocate responsibility for passenger safety. Financial analysts predict that the ripple effects may extend to the reinsurance market, with premiums for wide-body jets climbing in the wake of such a high-profile disaster. On the regulatory front, the crash of AI171 is already prompting change. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency has ordered mandatory inspections of all Dreamliner fuel systems, impacting more than 1,000 aircraft across the globe. The Federal Aviation Administration in the United States and the Directorate General of Civil Aviation in India are considering similar measures. These directives mean that airlines must schedule additional maintenance, potentially causing thousands of flight cancellations and billions in lost revenue. Yet, as safety experts argue, these disruptions are a small price to pay for restoring public trust and preventing future tragedies. In India, the government's new task force on pilot training is exploring cutting-edge approaches to enhance crew performance under stress. This includes integrating advanced simulators that replicate rare emergencies, introducing psychological resilience programs, and mandating regular assessments of cognitive workload. Dr. Sally Evans remarks, the pace of technological change in aviation demands that human training evolves just as quickly. Accidents like this serve as a wake-up call. The preliminary AAIB report has also raised questions about the broader culture of safety and transparency within the aviation industry. David Learmount of Flight Global observes, the preliminary report highlights the need for a thorough investigation into the aircraft's maintenance history and potential design flaws. Transparency is critical, not just after accidents, but in the day-to-day reporting of minor defects, software glitches, or procedural lapses that could, if left unaddressed, contribute to catastrophe. Boeing's response has been swift and public. The company's chief engineer has pledged full cooperation with the AAIB, promising to provide technical assistance and to implement any changes deemed necessary by investigators. Air India's chief executive officer has similarly vowed to support the inquiry and to prioritize the safety of passengers and crew above all else. Yet, amid the swirl of technical jargon, regulatory directives, and legal maneuvering, the human cost of the disaster remains front and center. The loss of 260 lives has left a void in families, communities, and the aviation community itself. Memorial services in Ahmedabad and London drew thousands, while social media campaigns have called for greater accountability and reform. The emotional impact of such tragedies often galvanizes change faster than any regulatory edict. So what does this mean for you, the traveler, the professional, the concerned global citizen? First, it underscores a sobering truth. Technology, no matter how advanced, is only as reliable as the humans and systems behind it. Every time you board a plane, you are placing your trust in a complex web of engineering, training, regulatory oversight, and maintenance practices. The Dreamliner crash is a powerful reminder that this trust must not be taken for granted. If you work in technology, aviation, or any field where safety is paramount, the lessons are clear. Regular audits, transparent reporting of maintenance issues, and continuous training are not just regulatory checkboxes. They are matters of life and death. For travelers, being informed about airline safety records, asking questions, and staying updated on industry developments is not paranoia. It is prudent self-care. The same principles apply to the global tech sector. Rigorous testing, open communication about near misses, and a culture of learning from failure can prevent the next big disaster. The investigation into Air India flight AI171 is far from over. The final cause may hinge on something as small as a single faulty wire, a misunderstood cockpit command, or a few lines of computer code. The AAIB's report already hints at recurring issues with the engine 2 fuel cutoff switch, a detail that could trigger a global recall or a major redesign in the coming months. As history has shown, it is rarely one catastrophic failure that brings down an aircraft, but rather a chain of small, overlooked weaknesses that converge at the worst possible moment. Looking forward, The legacy of this tragedy may be transformative. New regulations are likely to emerge, mandating stricter maintenance protocols, enhanced pilot training, and more robust software safeguards. The global aviation community will almost certainly invest in smarter diagnostic tools, real-time monitoring of critical components, and improved crew resource management systems. Legal reforms may reshape the way compensation is handled in cross-border disasters, and insurers may develop new models to better account for rare but devastating risks. But perhaps the most important change will be cultural. Each disaster, from Japan Airlines Flight 123 to Air France Flight 447, has forced the industry to confront uncomfortable truths. The Dreamliner accident reminds us that the pursuit of safety is never complete, that every success story is built on the willingness to question, to investigate, and to learn from failure. As technology continues to advance, so too must our commitment to transparency, accountability, and adaptation. If you are passionate about global technology, economics, or simply want to understand how the world's most complex systems stay safe, now is the time to stay informed and get involved. Subscribe to our channel, join our community, and share your questions or insights. Your curiosity and your voice can help push the industry to keep evolving. Remember, safety is everyone's responsibility, from the engineers who build our planes, to the pilots who fly them, to the regulators who enforce standards, and to the passengers who demand answers. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and never stop asking the tough questions. In the end, it is our